welcome to another episode of the Grow Your Occupancy podcast. I'm Julie Podewitz. Welcome, and today, very excited to have Sara Robertson on the show. Sara, welcome.
Hi, Julie. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm
So
excited to be
excited to
here.
talk. I think we could do a three-part or maybe a four-part series, Sara. I'm going
I
to
think
tell
so too.
everybody about a little bit about you, Sara. You are the CEO, Chief Executive Officer of the Arbors and Ivy Assisted Living Communities. You've been in the business, in the industry about 25 years. I feel like we've all been, we're all in that 25 year
Yeah,
mark, and you started at the ground level, right? So you've got
yeah,
tons of experience in all areas, sales and marketing as an ED, a regional. You were the chief operating officer, and you are currently now the CEO of a third generation family business. Got to talk to you more about that.
yeah.
Something else that's very, very interesting. I mean, you have all facets, right? Being the chief executive officer. You also created and opened the company's home care agency in 2010, which is now a sister community or sister company to the business. So you have the Arbors and Ivy, 9 assisted living communities
Mhm.
based out of the Greater
Massachusetts
Boston
and
area
Connecticut.
and
Yep.
Connecticut. And then Integra Home Health Agency, 700 associates. And again, Massachusetts and Connecticut. And you're a
Yep.
graduate from U of M, Massachusetts. I'm U
Yep.
of M, Michigan. You live there with your husband and 3 children.
Yes.
Sara, how do you do it
We
all?
are busy, busy people.
No doubt. So I'd love to talk to you about a lot, but let's start with as a CEO
Mhm.
with a lot of spinning plates. I'd like to talk to you about your perspective from a revenue and sales standpoint. So specifically, what would you say your priorities are as it relates to money coming in?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think I need to take you back a little bit to answer that question. 20 years ago was really when I started to kind of make my way up in the business, right? So let's just bring us back to 2004. The industry was really pencil and paper, right? The internet really wasn't a thing. Our target customers certainly were not going to the internet for their information. And so we really weren't collecting a lot of data. We weren't collecting information that we could use strategically to make decision to increase our revenues and increase occupancy. It just, it was just the way the time was. So the way my career has kind of gone kind of correlates to, how the industry has changed in regards to collecting data and going to the internet and digital marketing and all of these huge significant changes that have taken place over the past 20 years. And so, we used to say we weren't numbers people. We didn't have to be. It wasn't a competitive space like it is today, right? Our rents were around $3,000 a month, which I know is crazy to even say. And we had wait lists for years. So it was a very different space. But now here we are today. And, I really, in my career, I led the charge to advance our company into that space. So we started with bringing on a CRM, which obviously is crucial to marketing. And we started to see data coming in.
Mhm,
And we were able to use that data to make decisions that
mhm.
obviously impacted our revenue and our sales. And that's really how I feel like we got there.
I wrote this down. We weren't numbers people. We didn't need to be.
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
it was such a different industry. And, around probably 2016, when we opened our 7th community, we opened in an area where we have like 14 competitors in the same market space. So that's really where there was a giant shift. And in that shift, right, you had to get creative and you had to know exactly how to strategize every aspect of the business. And so from there, what we started to do was we started to implement different technology and systems within each department. So we were able to take an overall data centric approach towards really everything that we were doing. And now having that data at our fingertips, right? You can do all sorts of things, right? We can predict trends. We can see icebergs coming up ahead. We can see, different directions that we may need to market in, maybe a new service that people are looking for that we need to bring on. And that happens within each and every department that we can take that data and we can sit down as a group and say, okay, what do we need to do with the trends and with these numbers, right? To be effective and make, changes that are best for our residents, and for our staff, and for, our company as a whole. So there's just so many different avenues, right, that you can take this data. And I tell my team all the time that data tells a story. And that's why I said that to you, because I do think, we used to say we weren't numbers people. You can't be successful and drive revenue in occupancy if you aren't numbers people. We have learned that.
Yeah.
And that,
Yeah.
so now we are very data heavy.
Mhm.
But I think we also are realistic and we, listen to people and we kind of have both sides of the coin where we can, talk about the reality of the situations and what residents are looking for and what our staff are looking for, and then look at the data and then make a decision that's probably somewhere effective for both of them.
Good point. We're in an emotional business
Yeah,
and we're human and we all have emotions and we're in a business of you're in a business of crisis, right? That's senior living and we're guess we're crisis driven. We're working and helping people and residents living in your communities who have crises. So that reaction, that emotional reaction or knee-jerk reaction is it is so critically important to stop. I'm not talking about emergency. I'm talking about, oh, we need more leads, or oh, well, we need to do this, or oh, well, we need to get on another call to talk about that, or we're just reacting instead of kind of stopping, looking at
exactly.
data. And I'm right there with you. Why is something happening? Okay, we know what's happening, and in sales, it's what's typically not happening. Okay,
Yes.
we know
Yeah.
that. Then how to solve or what components fit into that puzzle, as I call it.
Yeah, I
And
think you have
yeah,
been honestly a huge resource and a huge asset to us to really dive into exactly what you're saying, right? Like, where are their issues, right? Like, what is, like you said, the cadence and what is, the ratios of inquiry to move-ins and all of these different, facets of data that we never really looked at years prior. And now we're so reliant on that, like, right? Like, you've taught my team like amazing, amazing things. And now, you can take the data to a whole nother level of like coaching, right? So
yeah,
now you use that data to coach and train people to like where they might be falling a little bit short or how to guide them and push them right into a direction towards, improved skills. And so I think that that has been a huge help for us. And I think you were incredible, and we are so grateful that we had that experience with you. But yeah, so we've really utilized, especially the CRM data in totally new ways. And then
good,
I think, also doing years of this now, right? You get year over year data. So you
right,
can really see trends, right? So like
yeah,
maybe like the end of the first quarter of the year is tough for move outs across the board, right? Always is around this time of year. So now that you know that, right? You know that the trend for the last 3 years, So how do you offset that? What decisions do you make, to really help avoid that issue year over year over year? So I mean, you could just go down rabbit hole after rabbit hole of data,
Mhm.
and the stories it could tell you and the shifts that you could make accordingly. So it's pretty interesting stuff, I will say. I love it. I just think it's great. It's a
Well, it
great
does
tool.
tell a story. I mean, it's knowing, first of all, what you need. And so what is the data? What data? What am I looking at? What do I need to look at? And then understanding it, and then what story does it tell?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And I appreciate your approach in that balance of whatever the balance is of the data, the facts, because data is facts, and the the human component. He's like,
Yes.
well, this is the way to, it's in the budget, or this is the number, and this is okay, great, great, and this is life, and this is this is what's happening. It's the same in coaching and training, evaluation. What I find to be very common is that we tend to evaluate performance, A, too late, and B, with a real foggy lens that's heavy on the emotion. And
Yeah.
it's, confirmation bias. If you really like somebody and they're so good and they're so wonderful, it's foggy. And conversely, if maybe someone rubs you a little, we might have confirmation bias there. And there's an opportunity, right, to say, well, how, certainly if someone's not, if you're a salesperson and you're not selling that, that's your work product. A, find out why. B, can this problem be, can this person be coached and trained, and is there an end game to this? And if not, whether you like them or whatever, that there has to be. But that balance of, because I find a lot of terminations and things are just very emotional, and more on the flip, we really like them and they're so
Yeah.
good, and oh, I don't want an open spot. So
Yeah,
we'll
I
just
think
kind of
as
whip them
a
off. Yeah.
family business, we
Yeah.
might have a little bit of a unique perspective
Yeah.
in that, we really want to give, tools that we can to our employees, give them trainings, give them strategies, give them different opportunities to kind of show themselves and show what they're capable of. And I think that we balance, the numbers with the people side of things. And I think that it's our culture to kind of want to work with people through that transition. I think people need to, there's a lot to learn, right, in this industry now. It's not what it used to be. When I was a marketing director way back when, and then what they are responsible for currently today is night and day different. There's so much more expected of
Mhm,
everybody in really all positions, right?
mhm,
Even when I was an ED, 10 years ago to what our EDs are currently expected to do, right? Very, very different stuff. So we are asking more of everybody in this industry. And so we have to be able to give them the tools to succeed, right? And I think that, what you guys do and the data that we can pull out of all of this stuff is exactly what we're talking about, is giving them the tools to drive in the right direction. It's giving us the tools to coach them into the right direction. So it's giving us, actual real-time feedback too. So like you are knowing, okay, like this is working or this is not working. So I think that there's just so many different layers, right, of what makes all of this work. And I think that, I think it's important to take a step back though, and to really reflect on the human element of things and then
mhm,
the data element of things. You
mhm.
have to bridge the gap between the two.
I'm shifting gears slightly, as a woman, female leader, okay, you're the chief executive officer. I'm going to ask you a couple of things there. We're in senior living business, women in leadership. There's been a lot of positive and a lot of focus, as there should be. The women in leadership and the executive conference is the Senior Executive Conference as a Women in Leadership series, and we
Yeah, I
are
love that.
business. I do too. I do too.
Right.
Kudos, wearing pink and really
Absolutely.
giving a shout out. We're female heavy industry.
Yes.
Yet, when you go kind of up the ladder or whatever you want to call it to those the executive leadership positions, still heavily not female, not women
Absolutely.
in those positions. So I want to ask you a couple things. So what do you find, like, what do you love about being a CEO?
So first, I'm very proud to be a female executive. I'm very lucky. I'm very grateful. I think that, not everybody is so lucky, and they may have more male dominant industry that they're trying to move up the ladder in. That is far more challenging. Like you said, we are, a woman dominant industry. Women tend to go towards caregiving and healthcare. So we are lucky that that is more our situation. But like you said, at the top, right, in these senior management roles are still definitely, more males, I would say. But I think, being a woman in this role, right, you're given the opportunity to try to change the culture. So that's really what I try to do, right? I try to, just show. I feel like, yeah, as a woman, you have to prove, right? There's more to prove. There's more to show. Like, I'm capable of this and I can do this. Are there doubts to, just because of what the narrative is out there? Yeah, probably. Yeah. We have to overcome, more, things that are out there about women in these roles and what they're capable and not capable of. And I would say that, I just try to do my best, and I try to bring a really strong culture to our company. A lot of teamwork, a lot of collaboration. I think, just being a caring individual, and just showing that you care. I think all of those are just very important pieces to being a CEO. You don't just get to say, I'm in this role and, I'm going to be in charge and that's what I'm going to do. It's not like that. It very much needs to be a collaborative. I couldn't do what I do without my team. I couldn't do, anything without everybody that I have on my side. And our success is, because of them, not necessarily because of me.
Mhm. You said you feel as a woman, perhaps there's more to prove. It hits home in so many ways. And here we're sitting, Sarah, in 2024, and we're, would like to, in my little, positive bubble in the world, there's no hatred and there's no prejudice, and we all love is love, and we're all, just embracing each people as human beings. And I'm no better than anyone else at all. And I just wish that was the way it was, right? And there's still all this, like, why do we have more to prove? But we do.
We do.
And minorities more to prove. What do you think? And I know you have it from your own perspective. What would you say you have to prove as a woman that you might not as a man?
I mean, even just that you can command a room, right? Like, that's like a big one that people will say, right? Like, you're not capable of commanding a room or taking power, or, just being as effective of a leader in that people will listen to you, right? So I think that that all plays into it. Um, yeah, I lost my train of thought. I apologize.
No. I think command of a room and being taken seriously. And of course, we only have our own perspective. And I've been asked, like, do people take you seriously as a woman, or do? And I mean, I only have my own. Well, yeah, because maybe they don't. I don't know, because I'm not. This is my only experience, and I'm also, and you are also, I hope you don't mind me saying, you are a woman of, I'm a woman of petite stature, which I've never thought about, never think about. It's not important. It's It's only when others point it out. And I think that
Yeah.
the need to point that out is so telling to me, not about me, but about the individuals that need to point that out. And
Yes, absolutely.
most often, and this is not, I love men, and it's just most often, um, from from that kind of side of it, like, I thought you'd be taller, or what, and you so because you're a woman, or because you're of petite stature, then you take the two together, and maybe we do feel we have more to prove. Maybe we do need to, or not need to, but maybe we do. I mean, we are who we are, but maybe there is that component. There shouldn't be. There
No,
shouldn't.
there shouldn't be. I think that, when, yeah, when you're out there as a woman, right? I think people maybe question more things with women as than they would with men, right? Like, maybe decisions that you're making, or if somebody's going to come in and, try and gather feedback from our company from, whatever different level.
Yeah,
I think people are still, well, there's just feels like there's like a little bit of this disconnect, right? Of like, are you truly capable of this, right? And I think that then
yeah,
that lives inside of our heads. And so it's something then that we have to deal with internally of, am I capable of this? So I think it elicits more questions within ourselves than maybe, that's maybe the reality isn't that, but it's what lives inside of our heads because of different narratives that have been out there in the way that, women, are in these bigger roles. And it just kind of, I don't know, it holds you back a little bit. I try not to let it hold you back. Try to still be, very strong and, in power. And, we've earned these roles that we are in. Otherwise we wouldn't be here. But, in my case, it's a little bit unique too, is we're a third generation family business. So we have shoes to fill within the family, right? We have to be as successful as the previous generation. So we have to meet those kind of goals and those achievements as well. So it definitely, we had some big shoes to fill. And I feel like we really have. We've, significantly have grown the company. We've added, the healthcare into our portfolio. We have, done different things to really scale and grow as a company, and
yeah,
really have made our mark in this industry against, national companies. And that's something to be very proud of. And we are. And, I don't necessarily think I was questioned for being a woman in this role. I won't say that, but I will say that, there are definitely interactions along the way, right, that make you maybe pause sometimes and be like, would you have said that to a male, or would I have been in
right.
this position if I was a male? And the answer is definitely no. And so there are definite situations that come up that still cause you to pause. And that's the reason, like you're saying, that it can still be a thought process of, you're a woman in this position, and what does that look like?
Yeah. Uh, so I do want to say though, and this is my experience in senior living, not quite 25 years, but over 20 years. In my experience, the men in in business that I meet, and there's been hundreds of them, are uh, extremely respectful. I mean, I that's my experience only. And
Absolutely
again,
agree.
I don't know, is it the business? Is it the is it that component of what I think any of us in senior living and whatever, in whatever capacity, love the business so much because it draws, what for me, it draws and attracts kind, good people. And you can be all of that and ambitious and look at data and be, have to make really tough decisions that are not necessarily well liked or appreciated, by
Yeah.
the stuff. And
Absolutely. We have some super caring,
we
male
do.
members of our team. And, I agree with you. I think they're very caring. I think, like I said, I really haven't, I've been very lucky in my position. I have not
Yeah,
really been up against much in regard to, problems or significant challenges in that regard. I know many women have, so I'm very, very
Yeah,
lucky.
they absolutely 100%. And you have three children, and they are sixth grade, eighth grade, 10th grade. We both
Yep.
have Avas. I
Yes,
love that.
we do.
So as a a professional executive female, what you are a role model. You're a role model to everybody. You're in business. I love that collaboration, and certainly with your family and your children. What do you hope your children, do you have girls too? Do you have a
I have a
son?
girl and two boys.
Two boys and a girl. Okay. Your daughter, certainly, your children, especially your daughter. What, if you could go into the mind and read it, what would you really want to soak in there for her and for your boys too?
Yeah, well, we all talk about it as a family. We're very open about everything, and they very much, my husband is a business partner. So just like I grew up, being surrounded by business all the time, right? That was my life. I lived it, breathed it, everything. And our kids kind of do the same thing, especially with the COVID and the pandemic, right? Like us all kind of being stuck all together all the time. They have watched firsthand, the ups and downs of running a business and watching their mother, be in charge of a company, of this size. I think, has benefits for both of them. I think that my boys have such respect for women, and I don't even think that they would even question a woman being in, a CEO role. They would never question that. To them, that is as normal as it comes. And the same for my daughter. And, now she's older and she's in high school now. What you're seeing is like, she's just like, well, she's empowered, first of all, but also she's impressed. She's like, well, can you help me build something like this? Like, she's like, you're so skilled, you're so capable. So, you're getting really kind feedback from a teenager who's seeing something that is just pretty awesome hands on, that she, wants to do the same thing. She's got, great ideas. She wants to run her own company, and she can do that. And I tell her all the time, you are capable of that. And, my boys know, like, they need to treat women with respect, and, women are capable of the same roles as men. So, it's definitely a conversation in our household, and, definitely something that my kids are seeing and witnessing firsthand. So I think it's probably a unique perspective for them, compared to most.
One of the things, Sarah, that I, in getting to know you and work with you, really admire is kind of going back full circle to the start of the conversation, is your balance. You have such a great mix of the business, the data, and the nurture side of it. And that comes out of you. So this is the business, this is the data, this is what we need to do. And the heart, your compassion and empathy, and you have great listening skills. And I mean, that's the perfect blend of uh, certainly any successful individual
Thank you.
and in any position, but certainly as an executive leader and role model. And it's obviously you impact just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, most importantly, of course, your family. And I love that, one person at a time, that it really is not that it's not no big deal, that it just is, that whoever you are you, right? And
Yes.
whether they know that men do the women do it doesn't matter. Um the 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 there's stereotypes, I guess, or
Mhm.
mental blocks that, oh, men can't do this, or women can't do this, or and it just is, and it is one person at a time, and one great mentor at a time, and you're a mentor for so many people, myself included. I have got to get you back on the podcast because we've got so much more to talk about. Sarah, you've got a company to run,
Yeah,
and a family.
I do. I do.
Before you go, what is one, this could be a tough one, or maybe not.
You're gonna stump me?
To the salespeople out there, I'm gonna stump the panel here now, wait. To the salespeople out there at any level,
Yes.
what is one piece of advice or one thing that you'd like them to know from your perspective as a chief executive officer?
Let's see. Well, first of all, thank you for all your kind words. I really appreciate that. That was very kind of you. Um, in regards to my advice to them, I would say consistency is probably the most important piece to their success. I think that, you can try different things and maybe things don't work, right? Let's just take like the outreach part of networking, right? The getting out there. That can be a frustrating process for them. They may not see it being effective, right? They may not see the results right away after they're out there networking and doing their outreach and whatever. But again, going back to the data does show that over time, the consistency being in that area of focus definitely 100% has an impact. And it's something that newer salespeople struggle to see in the beginning. They think it's just wasted efforts or, not effective immediately. They're not getting the low hanging fruit. But I do think that over time, that one piece of what they do is critical to the long-term success of a community. You have to keep that piece going. And I'm huge on talking to my team about that. Like I just think that just something you can't see, but the data shows that if you are consistent with it, it will drive your occupancy and it will be a huge resource and a huge tool for them. And I think that they can't lose sight of just how crucial and important that is to their data.
If you don't know her, you should. If you're not familiar with the Arbors and Ivy Assisted Living Communities and Integra Home Health Agency website, jump on their website. Sarah, what's a great way to reach you?
Arborsassistedliving.com. We are on there. My email is on there.
Perfect. Thank you again, Sarah. It's wonderful to be able to connect with you.
Thank
Hope
you
to do
so
that
much for
again
having me. This was
soon. Oh,
wonderful, Julie. Thank
my
you so
pleasure,
much.
my pleasure. And for all of you out there that wait to the end, thank you very much for listening to another episode of the Grow Your Occupancy podcast. I'm Julie Podewitz, and until next time, make it a great day for all of those you serve.